I am Dr. Vitria Byrd, and I am presenting research results from a research study performed with my colleague, Dr. Jorge ByrdCamba, on a worksheet method for developing research questions and examination of 3 graduate student cohorts. This research will help to better inform educational practice and pedagogy in research methods. The implications of this work will help students to understand the process of developing research questions, potentially improve the quality of student research, and advance the science and engineering and computing education. The contribution of this work is a methodical approach to assist in any discipline in helping students to develop sound research questions. The purpose and aims of this work are to introduce an activity worksheet approach for developing research questions, to assess students' perceptions of the usability and effectiveness of the activity worksheet method, and to provide educators with insight as to what parts of the process should be scaffolded to meet students' experience, transforming topics into sound research questions. The main research questions are: at what point is the worksheet method most effective? When should the worksheets be introduced? The activity worksheet method consists of a series of 4 activity worksheets. The worksheets help students to identify topics, to questions, to problem statements, from problem statements to identifying data sources. The worksheets vary and focus on key elements of the research process. In identifying topics, students will generate a list of topics of their choosing. They will articulate what they hope to find out about that topic in the second worksheet. In the questions to a problem worksheet, students will develop a problem statement from the question posed in the previous worksheet. In the problem to data sources worksheet, students will learn about different types of data sources. Students will rank their choices, answer specific questions about their topic, will determine if the problem is a practical or conceptual problem, describe the significance of addressing the problem, and lastly, plan and determine the availability of data for the topic. Our approach in this research was to design a study to assess students' perception of the activity worksheet method. Worksheets were administered in a graduate seminar course, which consisted of a 16-week semester met once a week with a lecture format. The course is one of the first graduate courses that introduced research methods. 3 graduate student cohorts participated in the fall of 2019. First, second, and third semester master's degree students. Students have various degrees of understanding of what research is and the complex inquiry process used to support it. Students are required to take the seminar 3 times in different semesters. Expected outcomes and general guidelines vary depending on which semester the student has enrolled in. Each student will identify research topic, find their research topics, develop and communicate a research plan with their thesis committee members. Worksheets are introduced incrementally. Students are given 1 week to complete each worksheet. 47% of the topics worksheets were completed by the 3rd semester cohort of students. 33% of the topics to questions worksheet was completed by the 1st semester student. 42% of the questions to a problem worksheet were completed by the 3rd semester students. 48% of the problems to a data source worksheet was completed by the 3rd semester students. Data collected consisted of the completed worksheets and students' self-assessment of the usability of the activity worksheets. A 5-point Likert scale is used to assess students' perception. A value of 1 corresponds to strongly disagree, and a value of 5 corresponds to strongly agree. Usability feedback instruments were created for each worksheet. Feedback questions are tailored to fit concepts covered in each worksheet. Students were asked to indicate their level of agreements for each worksheet. Data analysis of Likert scale data was performed. Only the student self-assessment data for the usability of the worksheet are analyzed. Contingency tables are calculated to summarize the relationship between cohorts and students' perception of the usability of worksheets. Chi-squared tests of independence are performed to determine if there is a relationship between cohorts and students' perception of the usability of worksheets. Table 3 shows contingency table for identifying topics worksheet for questions 1 and 2. The most frequent response is agree, which suggests that most students agree that they find the topics worksheet to be helpful in generating topics. The worksheet helps students to understand the relevance of the task of choosing a topic. Table 4 shows the contingency table for assessment question 3 of the identifying topics worksheet. The most favorable response was agree, which suggests that students had a clear idea of topics before completing the worksheets. Chi-square test of independence was performed to take a closer look at question number 3 to determine whether the level of graduate cohorts is related to students having existing topic ideas before completing the worksheet. Our null hypothesis is students have a clear idea of topics before completing the worksheet. Alternate hypothesis is there is a relationship between student graduate level and their knowledge of research topics before completing the worksheet. Chi-square results indicate a p-value of 6.959. So we reject the null hypothesis in favor of the alternate hypothesis and conclude there is a relationship between cohort level and the knowledge of research topics before completing the identifying topics worksheet. The third semester cohort indicated knowing what their research topics were before completing the worksheet. Chi-square tests were also performed to examine the relationship between cohort levels and students' perception of the usability of each worksheet. Our null hypothesis is students' perceptions of the usability of each worksheet are independent of graduate cohorts. The alternate hypothesis is students' perceptions of the usability of each worksheet are not independent of graduate cohorts. The results show that there is a relationship between cohort level and students' perceptions of the worksheet from problems to data sources. 41% of the responses were agreed. We accept the alternate hypothesis. There is a relationship between the cohort level and students' perception of the worksheet from problem to data sources. The first semester cohort found the fourth worksheet from problems to data sources to be more helpful. Figure 2 shows the cumulative response counts from all worksheets for each cohort. A cumulative total of 370 responses were submitted. The most frequent response from each cohort was agree. In Figure 3, the same data from Figure 2 is presented from a different perspective. The third semester cohort participated more frequently with 173 responses. We noticed there was a drop in participation from the second semester cohort, which could be indicative of the second semester cohort size. The adaptability of the worksheets enables widespread use. Individual and independent study, team-based collaborative work, class projects, and semester projects such as capstones. Each worksheet is designed to stand alone. However, it can be utilized during any stage of the research project or topic generation process. The worksheets facilitate research dialogue between faculty and current and potential students. The worksheets have also been used in undergraduate courses or are being presented at this conference this year. We acknowledge limitations of our research findings. The first limitation is the relatively small sample size. Future offerings will be made in the same class. However, other classes where students are required to develop research questions and or develop topic ideas for assignments and projects can also benefit from the use of these worksheets. The second limitation is the Likert scale data. It is unclear what the neutral response actually represents. Lastly, the current format of the worksheets is limiting for students interested in qualitative research. We will explore the development of a companion set of worksheets for qualitative research questions. Future work will include the ability to triangulate between the student and instructor of the graduate seminar and the faculty researcher the student identifies as their primary research advisor. This will help to motivate students to complete the worksheets, provide feedback to students' primary research advisor regarding how well the student understands the focus of the topic or the research, and foster conversation and dialogue between the student and research advisor at a critical turning point in the graduate student's research plan. We also anticipate performing longitudinal analysis of students' responses over 3 semesters. We have presented a discipline agnostic worksheet method for developing research questions. We have addressed the research question: at what point is the worksheet method most effective, and when should the worksheet be introduced? Results suggest the worksheets are useful at all stages of the research process. Most effective in the early semesters when new graduate students are at the stage of defining their research questions. The worksheets are also helpful in later stages as the scope of the research is refined and further developed. The worksheets can be used in any setting where development of a research question is desired. The worksheets have been presented here at FIE conference as shown for undergraduate research. We acknowledge the Department of Computer Graphics Technology at Purdue University and students enrolled in the Fall 2019 graduate seminar course. Worksheet content was adapted from the book, The Craft of Research, 4th edition. This concludes the presentation. Thank you for your attention. More details are available in the full paper.